Bring me everyone.
What do you mean, everyone?
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Nitecore EDC27. This is a flat body tactical style flashlight that is kind of insane. There's a lot of technology built into this thing, and it is a really, really solid performer. Now, it is advertised as a 3000 lumen flashlight. However, this is not a 3000 lumen flashlight, folks. What we're looking at here is a 1000 lumen flashlight with a quick burst turbo that will hit 3000 lumens. And very shortly after the timer runs out, it will kick down to its high mode of 1000. Now, I want to give a big thanks to my homie Kev at Lefty EDC, because he let me borrow this awesome flashlight for my review. He did a review on it, and I watched it because I often watch what Kevin decides to put up, because he and I have very, very similar interests. And man, I really enjoyed the video, and I really thought the light was cool. So I said, hey man, can I borrow that just for a little while? He's like, hell yeah. And the dude sent it the next day. I got it the day after that. And I've been playing with it, and I really, really, really dig it. However, I would argue against most people carrying this light. And there's a very important reason why. Because if you're carrying it in the pocket of any sort of regular pants, or carrying it maybe in a backpack, a to-go bag like you're bringing it home from a restaurant, a get-home bag or a bug-out bag, anything like that, don't. Now, I love the features of this light, so I'm going to end up buying one so I can carry it. However, I'm really only going to carry it on the days that I'm wearing my Vertex Delta pants, and that's because it has a special pocket on the side of each leg for a slim carry item, and it won't be up in a regular pocket where sitting down can cause the E-switch to fire and turn the light on in your pocket. If you've ever experienced Hot Pocket, you realize how badly it sucks. Number one, it's burning you. That's never fun. Number two, it could be burning you at the worst possible time, like what had happened to me one time when I was driving. I don't remember what light it was. I think it may have been made by Streamlight or something. Anyway, it was kind of an it light at the time. It was a really tiny little AAA battery-powered light that everybody was buying at the time, but it had a side switch, and I usually only will carry a light that has a tail cap switch. Anyway, I had gone to a concert that night, and when I left, I was driving, and I only got maybe a couple minutes down the road before I realized, hey, there's something stinging my leg, my thigh, almost like I was being bitten by a bug. Then it got worse and worse and worse, and I realized the little light in my pocket, which may have only been like 300 lumens, was turned on, and it was burning my leg. So yeah, that really sucks, but it can actually get worse than that, because it can melt the pocket. It could catch the fabrics of the pocket or the pants on fire. Like, there's some bad stuff that can happen besides just getting a little bit of a leg burn. Yes, it has a proximity sensor, and I'm going to show that to you right here. I'm going to jack it up to turbo, and when I do this, you'll see it kick down, and it won't go back up until I release it and hit it again. Now, that's all great and all, But that only works really up against a solid object like my hand. I haven't tried it against just, yeah, see, it's not even working here. Ooh, are you kidding me? Seriously? I guess I'm going to be redoing that. Oh, fun. Anyway, that could have been your pockets. Ooh, that's a terrible smell. It's probably not good to be inhaling that either. Anyway, so you don't want that happen. And that was what, a couple of seconds and it wasn't even touching it? Whatever. Anyway, this can get extremely hot. Anyway, I have tested this inside of my pocket, and the pocket fabric does not trigger that sensor. So I can hold down that button as long as the meter will allow me to, and it's going to keep burning and burning and burning and burning. The pocket material isn't enough to trigger the sensor, so it's not safe to actually carry. Now, if you've got this up in like a jeans pocket or something, and you sit down, because this is a long light and it's tall out of the pocket, you could very easily be pressing the power button up against maybe your belt or something else, some other part of your body or the pants, and it can hold it down. Because I do want to clarify that it does have a two-step lockout mode, okay? And what it requires is for you to tap it and then hold it down for a few seconds. This meter will run out and then your light will be on. Now, if you're sitting and this is up against an immovable object, like let's say your belt, or maybe a mag carrier for your pistol that's hanging on your belt or something, and it's pushed up against there, well, guess what? It's going to unlock it and it's going to be on, and you won't even know it's on until it's already starting to cause damage. Same thing if it's in some sort of backpack or other kind of bag. It's an equal danger because something could very easily be holding down that power button long enough to disengage that lockout. So yeah, to me, it's an actual danger. It's something that you really want to be aware of before you buy it. Now, with that bit of negativity out of the way, let's talk about the things that I like about this light and all the cool shit that it does. Now, I like Nitecore, even though I'm not a huge fan of these tactical black flashlights, because I prefer, custom titanium flashlights. It just goes better with my regular EDC. But I do carry, let me see if I can reach in my pocket and get it out. I do carry a Tiny 2 in my pocket every day on my keychain. And this is great because you've got up to 200 lumens and a little keychain light. And these are like 40 bucks. They cost like nothing. So I really, really, really dig that. Stick that back in my pocket. So I like Nitecore's quality. I like the technology. I like the fact they're putting these OLED screens on there that give you really important information. So let's go ahead and turn it on really quickly. So I've turned it on and it's going to let me know. By the way, the flashing that you may be seeing on here is just because of the refresh rate of the camera. I'm sorry, the refresh rate of the screen being picked up by the camera. It has nothing to do with what you're going to see with the naked eye. Okay, so we turn it on. And then you half press on the power button, and it's going to display to you what lumens you're projecting and how long with the current battery charge you're able to run that. So you never have to guess about run times. The website obviously gives you run times, but if you have a bunch of different lights, you probably won't remember what the run time is for each one as you're carrying them. Let me put that chart up on the screen right here. And that's directly from the Nitecore store website. So that's what their numbers say. So it shows you for each step, for each mode, how long your fully charged battery is going to give you for runtime. Now, why does it have two buttons? It's an interesting user interface, honestly, because, okay, so as you saw, all the different increments are done with a half press of the power button, not the mode button. See, one says power, one says mode. It says it upside down, but there you go. So it's a little weird that the mode button doesn't control the mode. Anyway, so a quick half press will scroll you through. Here's the problem though. The half press doesn't have a very strong detent, so it's really easy to accidentally click all the way through and turn it off. So that could be kind of a pain in the butt. The good thing is it does have a memory. So whatever mode you had it on last, as long as it can't be the turbo because the turbo is done over here. It's not a constant power on mode. Every time you turn on, it's going to go back to the last mode that you used. So that's always nice. Now, what is this button for? This button, when you half press it, it's going to give you the full 3000 lumen insanity. And if you fully press it, just a quick warning, this is the strobe feature, and I don't want anybody that has epilepsy to have any issues. So if you have issues with flashing or strobing, then just skip ahead a few seconds because this is going to be really irritating. So if you're holding the button down, you get a 3000 lumen strobe. Pretty cool. I'm one of those people, and I realize I'm in the minority on this, but I'm one of those people that does actually like to have a strobe feature on my lights. Same thing goes for my weapon mounted lights. I like to have that strobe feature on there. Now, let's talk about specs really quickly. I'm just going to move this raw over here. Okay. Length of this body is 5.34 inches. It is made of stainless steel, which is odd, so it adds a bit of weight to it. It also, it doesn't insulate against heat very well, but the good thing is the heat doesn't travel up the body. You can be running this at 3000 lumens as long as it'll run, and the heat really stays down here. This gets hot enough to actually cause you burns, but holding like you would normally hold it up here, you're not going to feel any of the heat. They did a really, really good job of isolating the heat with the, what have they got in there? It's like an aluminum and copper enclosure that actually keeps the heat away from the rest of the body. It's pretty nice. Anyway, so 5.34 inches in total length. The width is 1.24 inches. And the thickness, the most important part, is just over a half an inch thick, 560 thousandths of an inch thick. And I believe that's at the widest portion where the OLED screen is, because this tapers down and gets slimmer toward the LEDs. The weight is 4.3 ounces. That's heavier than a lot of people will justify for their EDC pocket knife. So keep in mind, she's kind of a hefty girl. Now, it is running on a USB to USB-C charging cable. So make sure that you have the appropriate things to plug that into. Your maximum lumens is 3000. Your maximum length of throw is 220 meters, which I have not tested its maximum throw yet, but we are going to take this outside for some beam shots as long as I can handle the cold that's going on currently, and we'll go out there and see how this thing actually performs. Candela is listed at over 12,000 candela, which is pretty awesome, and that is running off of twin SST40 LEDs, which are similar to XP-L2s, according to some of the data and testing that I've read online that other people have done that are much more knowledgeable than me. The maximum runtime is 37 hours on ultra low, which ultra low is 15 lumens, which is still enough in total darkness to allow you to see things. So that's actually pretty useful. In 37 hours, if you were, I don't know, lost in the woods or something like that, I don't think it's enough to kind of really be walking around the woods in the middle of the night, but I don't know, maybe you're trapped in a cave. I don't know your life. Maybe you were spelunking because you thought spelunking sounded like fun because the word is fun to say, and you got, I don't know, lost in a cave. I'm sure 15 lumens is enough to allow you to see a foot or two around you, you know, make sure there's no snakes crawling up your anus or something like that. What else we got going on here? With the two-tail switches, you've got a lot of versatility. You got an OLED display, and it's IP54 rated, which means it's going to keep a fair amount of dust out of it, but it's only mildly splash proof. And to me, for this kind of light, I expect it to outperform on that level than really expensive custom titanium lights. Because this is the kind of light that you're going to beat up. It's not a showpiece. It's not precious in any way. It's not expensive at 90 bucks. You know, 90 bucks versus 900. I'm going to tend to be a little bit more gentle with this one than I am with this one. So I would like this to be able to handle if I were to drop it into a river or something like that. But it can't. It cannot be submerged in water. It's only mildly splash proof. And you've got 3000 lumens max with the turbo, and you've got the proximity sensors to keep from burning your skin if you're a moron and you keep doing this. Because as I've shown you, the proximity sensors don't do shit in other, normal activities. So keep that in mind. Now here's what's funny. For those of us that are really into collecting a lot of various EDC gear, like knives and guns and flashlights and stuff like that, we tend to spend a lot more money on, quote unquote nicer things. So, we could be spending hundreds or thousands of dollars on a custom made torch. Meanwhile, this for 90 bucks actually gives you better performance if you're just looking strictly at performance and not ergonomics or not the other factors, except for just, hey, this has bright light and crazy strobe and things like that. Obviously, my Cylon is quite powerful as well, but this does outpace it. And we could also spend hundreds on weapon lights. The TLR7 sub, oh my God, I'm forgetting now what the lumens, I believe it's probably 500 lumens on that. And then a little bit bigger, the Surefire X300, which on the Ultra, which is what this is 1,000 lumens. And, these are 350 bucks. So quite a bit more than this and not nearly the same performance, but the form factor is the big difference here and why we're choosing that. I don't honestly know that I would want a 3000 lumen light hanging off my pistol anyway. Maybe on a rifle or something like that, but probably not on a pistol. So this is going to have good throw as well as blinding light. It's going to be more floody than throw. And what's going to happen is the two LEDs here will converge to create one large hot spot in the middle. And then it should give you, I would think, based on the trips and everything else that I've used, like my Cylon has trips, so you've got 3 LEDs. It tends to give you a good blending of that light, and the fall off shouldn't be too severe. We'll find that out at night. I gotta wait, I don't know, like 6 more hours to go outside into the darkness and play with this thing on camera to show you guys what that's gonna look like. So anyway. So as I mentioned, the copper and aluminum heat sinks inside dissipate the heat very, very well, and they isolate it to just being right here around the actual LEDs and not letting the heat go up the body. So you really can hold this. I'm gonna go ahead and hold the turbo on. My God, I can actually feel the heat all the way to my hand over here, and it's ridiculous. Like I could use that for a hand warmer right now. It kicked down to 1,000 lumens on its own, but I can release, and the timer starts all over again. How insane is that? Most turbo modes, once they kick down, they stay kicked down, and you can't get that maximum output again. But I could keep doing that over and over. Here's the thing. I don't feel that in my hand at all. I mean, I don't sense anything. But here, I don't really want to touch that because it's super ridiculously hot up to about That's good. That's good. That's good. Right there, it starts getting pretty hot. So yeah, and as you saw from earlier, it can definitely get super, yeah, don't do that. It has a feel there if you're using the grippy areas. It can still get pretty warm down there. So if you're holding it like this, you're probably not going to feel it no matter how long you've got it running. So that's really, really good engineering and execution. So I've already gone through the modes and how to operate it. Again, it's super simple. Let's go ahead and get it locked out so we can start from scratch. 1, 2. So now we've got the 2-step longer lockout going. So we want to tap and then hold. Timer for the unlock works, and then it goes back to whatever I had it on last. Half press allows me to cycle through the intensity levels. Half press on the big mode button gives me 3000 turbo, or holding it gives me strobe. And that's all there is to it. Now you can always access the ultra low when the light is off by half pressing and holding the power button. Now, it's not really a moonlight mode because moonlight's generally about 1.5 lumens. So 15 lumens may be a bit strong for moonlight mode, but you can quickly access it from the off position by just a half press and hold on the power button. So yeah, that's pretty much it. My final thoughts on it. I like the built-in battery because it's convenient and easy for most people. However, I'm the kind that I would prefer to have multiple batteries charging up at all times and ready to go so that I can just quickly swap out batteries and have light instantly ready to go with no downtime. With this, I can't do that. Once the battery gets low enough where it's got to be charged, I've got to plug this in. The charging port is over here. And it takes about 1 hour and 25 minutes to fully charge. Now, that's actually fast, but when you're in the moment and need the light, that's going to suck. If you were at home during a big storm and you had a power outage, which a lot of us are going to reach for our favorite lights instead of candles or something, and that battery's not charged up, you're screwed. You're not going to be able to use that light for what you bought it for. With this light, I'll have 4 or 5 18650 batteries charged up at all times. So when this light runs out, all I've got to do is open it up, pop the 18650 out of it, and then install the new battery, and I have instant new light. That's going to be a big deal for a lot of people. And another thing is the E-switches are decent, but I wish there was more of a detent between the half press and the full press, because it's so easy to overshoot the half press and turn the light off by accident. That's kind of a pain in the butt. And again, let's talk about the 2-step lockout. It's kind of dumb. Number one, when you first get the light and you're still in that honeymoon phase, you're not really adjusted to it yet, it could take you a long time to get the light into action. If you're sitting there going, and you're holding it going, but I thought I had to hold it to turn on the light, but what's going on? I don't understand. Let me go ahead and put the lock mode in effect so this actually makes sense. Okay, so it's locked right now. So I can't do anything, right? I've already tapped. So let's let it reset from all the tapping. Okay, so you're brand new to the light. You've got maybe no other lights. This is your first major cool flashlight purchase, or you have a lot of different lights with a lot of different UIs. So you grab this and you're like, I remember it's got a lock, so I've got to hold this down. Well, wait, no, that's not working. What do? I hold this one down? Nope, that's not working. What the hell do I do? You've forgotten that you have to tap and then hold. And then you'll watch the meter and it'll let you know when it's going to unlock. So that could be a pain in the butt to get the light into action quickly for someone that's newer to this light. But more so, I honestly think it should have some sort of mechanical lockout. Maybe there's a sliding door that goes over this, or there's a little switch over here that prevents the buttons from being pushed into the body because there's like some sort of lock bar that goes across it. some sort of mechanical thing that I can disengage, and then my light is quickly in action, but also I know it's 100% safe to carry in my pocket or in a bag that may get jostled around. I don't have the confidence in this to say that I would just toss that into my get home bag. I just wouldn't do it. And I don't have the confidence to throw this in a pair of jeans in my pocket and go out for the day. I absolutely do not. It could not happen. Luckily, I do have other wardrobe options. And because I went and go out and buy $90 pants just to be able to carry a $90 light. I already have those pants, so it's something I'm already going to be wearing from time to time, or most of the time. So it works out for me. I'm okay with that. But I would never tell somebody, hey, this is a light that you have to have, but you're going to need to buy pants, tactical pants that have pockets on the legs or something, where this isn't sitting up at a pivot point of your body where it can get mushed and the lock can be turned off. So there's that. So I'm not trying to be negative about it because I really like the light. I love the size. And while I like big lights, obviously I designed the Cylon, I wanted it to be big. However, take a look at how these compare. Which one do you think is going to be more unobtrusive? Which one's going to be more comfortable to carry in the pocket all day? Now, they're about the same weight. Cylon's a little bit heavier, but this is no lightweight. But I love the form factor. I love that it's slim and it gets slimmer toward the head. This is so easy to carry in the pocket. It's ridiculous. And when you lay it down, it doesn't roll. My light won't roll when I put it on the pocket clip or when I position it in a way the pocket clip is going to stop it. But that could be anywhere. It could be anywhere in between. This does not roll, obviously. So it's really, really cool. What I do wish is that it had a way, and I'm going to do this on low because I don't want to do this again. I wish it had a way to stand up and that it had a crenellated bezel. That way a little bit of light could be escaping it as it's sitting down. You could have a little bit of ambient light around you. Another thing that I like to do with all of my lights, especially in that scenario that I described earlier, where maybe the power went out in the house during a storm, I can kick my light on. Oop, I didn't mean to bang it there. And it's pointed at the ceiling. And then it's radiating light off of the ceiling and giving a soft ambient light, lighting up the entire room. Now, my light's so powerful that I can do like my living room. My living room's about 17 feet by 19 feet, I believe. So I can light up the whole room with that one light pointed at the ceiling, off the white ceiling. This light I can't do that with because it doesn't prop up. It'll fall over. It's too narrow, plus it's sitting on an uneven area here with the one protruding button. And you can't do this. I guess it can kind of stand up, but it doesn't have a crenellated bezel, so it's all the light that it's sending out, it's gonna keep underneath. So anyway, it's not quite as useful as some of the other lights that we spend a lot of money to have those options. So again, while this can perform with crazy, crazy power, that little guy right there this is the MechForce Mech Torch. These are about $250 in titanium. That will actually outperform in its practicality because I have the crenellated bezel so I can have a little bit of glow coming onto the table surface, or I can pop it up on the tail and have it lighting up the room in a soft ambient way. And I can't do that with this. So it's whatever your particular needs are and how it's going to work out for you. Anyway, that's all I've got to say about this. Thank you for joining me as always. If you found this informative or you enjoyed it at all, please click the like button. Okay, we can take advantage of my mostly dark shop and see how well it illuminates. This is on the 1000-watt setting. See if we can get it to focus. And I can see most everything with just pointing this at the ceiling. Everything's pretty clear. Obviously, it's still daytime outside, so there is some light coming in. Not too bad. Now let's see what happens when I use this. And honestly, it's not a huge difference. But what happens when I throw turbo into the mix?
That's gonna be nuts.
And it's kind of like portable sunshine. Oh my goodness. That is crazy. And it kicked down, so let's turn it back on again. That's just insanity. Then when you put a direct beam on something, I mean, it's nuts. 3,000 lumens is insane for any time you're close up. Just insane. Okay, so here we are. It's definitely nice and dark out here, and we're going to do a couple of beam shots down my long-ass driveway. So starting with the Cylon. Cylon is mostly floody. Definitely see up into the trees. And that big tree right down there, which you may not be able to see on camera, is probably a good 100 yards away. This is not very scientific, but pretty close. All right, now let's see what happens when you hit that same area with 3,000 lumens. Yeah, that makes quite the difference. My goodness. That is insanity. And just as I thought, the convergence of those two beams is a nice prominent hot spot with a gentle fall off at the edges, no major cutoff.
Okay, let's try.
Unlock it, there we go. Is that the 1,000 watts? Or, excuse me, 1,000 lumens? Yep, that is the 1,000 lumens there. Beam quality is really, really nice. And what you're not able to see, I'm going to angle the camera a little bit so that you can. Now we'll head out into the backyard. Yeah, man, I gotta tell you, that 15 lumens is actually enough to get yourself around. You don't have to be stuck in a cave. You could be out in the woods all by your little lonesome. All right, so let's go from the low 15 lumen up a step. What does that say? That was the 65 lumens, 200, and the 1,000. Takes a second for my camera to focus. Yeah, I really do like this beam pattern a lot. And we'll go all the way across down there. Let's see how the Cylon competes with the Trip. Again, much more floody, not nearly as much throw. And then 3,000. Ho, 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 ho. Yep, that's pretty crazy. And that is why I'm going to have one of these lights, even if there are little things that bother me about it for EDC. I'm willing to look past it because this thing is pure friggin' insanity. Check out my other channels as well. I now have 3 channels up here on YouTube, and I'm not really sure. I'm probably going to put this video on at least 2 of the channels. We'll see what happens. Anyway, thank you all for joining me, and I'll see you on the next video.